right, welcome back to the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse. I think this is the second or third edition of 2025. And I'll tell you what, this year has been nothing but off to a blistering start, nothing but it. And I've talked to a lot of people in the industry here recently, and the sentiment is the same. And, we always think about the market, we think about interest rates, we think about all of these different headlines that we're seeing. But the truth of the matter is real estate is getting done, and it's likely going to be getting done in a big way this year compared to the last 2 years. And so our goal here on the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse is to be your go-to source for real-time, data-driven insights into the commercial real estate market. Whether you're an investor, a broker, a developer, or just commercial real estate curious, this show is designed to help you stay ahead of the curve. And we bring on really great guests to talk about what they are seeing in the industry. These might be folks like Blaze from CoStar, or Bob Knackle doing a lot of real estate up in New York City. Gentlemen like Anton, that we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and how to make your underwriting more efficient. So if you have guests or topics that you would like to hear more of and you would like for us to bring on the show, please reach out to us and let us know. Here's our team. This is our team here in Kansas City, and we're dedicated to delivering top-notch service and results. We really do try to bring market intelligence and a collaborative approach to every client that we serve. And we are looking forward to talking with you about your commercial real estate goals and what you're trying to accomplish. And we're excited to share some insights with you today. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's guests. Anton is the founder and CEO of Intel CRE, which is an artificially intelligent powered real estate investment analysis platform. This is something near and dear to my heart because I've been using this platform for, I don't know, Anton, now. It's been a while since we've been using this, and it's been fantastic. And we're going to dive into this platform here in a minute. But this is what really caught my eye was, Anton, that you hold a PhD in theoretical and mathematical physics from the Imperial College in London, where you specialized in string theory and, let me see if I can get this right, supersymmetric quantum field theory. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did. You did.
Awesome. So before founding Intel CRE in 2022, you served as a principal managing partner at Lansdowne Real Estate and conducted research as
Lansdowne
Real Estate, and conducted research as a PhD student at the Imperial College in London. So with that background, let's just start, Anton, with your, sharing your journey from theoretical physics to real estate technology. How did that come to be? And, what inspires you to establish Intel CRE?
Right. So first of all, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of everything that you do. And so I the first goal in my life was to kind of figure out how the world around us worked. And so I was competing in various mathematical and science competitions in high school and then afterwards, and this basically led me to study physics and then go and to do masters and then ultimately PhD, because I wanted to get to basically the boundary of what's known, how the universe came into existence and these very deep, profound questions. And I wanted to make a dent. So basically get to that boundary and then come up with some new stuff, right? Like discover something new. And the way to do it was to do a PhD, right? Because you have a lot of research work, and I was very lucky to actually been at Imperial College, because the people there, the professors are all superstars in these fields and disciplines. And so I did that. So we published a couple of papers. I'm still gonna wait for a call from Stockholm one day, when they appreciate what we've discovered. But I felt an urge to actually So I like working on hard problems, but I wanted to find a problem that was sort of more everyday, like a problem that I can solve using math and using technology, that would actually help people today and would really have an impact. So I could see the fruits of my work,
Yeah.
not in 200 years, as it would be the case with my research. Once we're colonizing the universe and we're leveraging our knowledge about black holes and wormholes, right? But I wanted to see the fruits of my work within my lifetime, or within 10 years or 5 years from now, right? And so
Sure.
I started searching for such problem, but I didn't know what the problem. I didn't know what the problem was. But in order to transition to business, and my family, and some people around me were sort of trying to break into CRE investing, so
Okay.
trying to break into multifamily investments. And the moment I saw this, I was like, "This is definitely what I'm gonna do next." And so I started putting together a private fund, and Lawns Delay is the name of the fund. And we started looking for small multifamily properties to invest in, especially in Southern California. We also have some investments in Europe, but it was mostly Southern California. And so at that point, I was like, all right, nobody else in the fund had any bandwidth to deal with this. And so I said, all right, I'm going to manage every aspect of this business. So basically put together the fund, start working with brokers, and start looking for deals and underwriting deals every day, right? And so I got very efficient at underwriting and all of that, but I was still running into very annoying problems every day. Now let me describe my average day. I would prospect for deals online, and then brokers I was in contact with would send me a few deals. And I wanted to underwrite all these opportunities and find out which ones were the best, and of
Sure.
course offer on them, right? But it would take me the entire day to thoroughly underwrite one or maybe two deals, because the data was scattered, and it was just too much work, right? And then crunching all those numbers, and at the end of the day, I had a deal, and I figured it was a good deal. And I basically underwrote the deal knowing that, okay, this is the price at which it makes sense for us to offer. So let's submit our offer, right? And we submitted our offer just to find out that there's 3 or 4 offers that came before ours. So game over, right?
Yeah.
And how about the other, say 20 deals that I didn't have the time to underwrite that day? And this was very annoying for me and for
Mm.
us, because we were, losing the race for the best deals, right? And so at that point, we started looking around for solutions that would help us basically automate all this manual
Yeah.
number crunching, or aggregating the data we needed, or extracting the unit mixes or whatever expenses from the documents and packages. And that would allow us to basically streamline this part of the business, so our offers would be the same, and we would spot the best deals, right? And there wasn't a tool out there, and I've tested and tried everything that would actually do the job. And so at this point, I was like, all right, let me ask other investors. And I started asking around, and the answers that I was getting was, well, it's the name of the game. You hire a bunch of analysts, you can have a better deal flow, whatever. And I wasn't satisfied with his answer. So I started thinking there, all right, if there's no good solution out there, maybe we should build it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the problem I was looking for. And then at the same time that this was happening, I noticed that the brokers we were working with had similar problems, sometimes resulting in us losing a lot of money. Now, let me be precise about what I mean by this. So they would tell me about a deal, and I said, "Oh, great, sounds good. Send me the package so we can underwrite it." And they said, "Well, it's going to take us a few weeks to get the package ready." I was like, "Few weeks? What kind of software are you using, or to do this?" And these were brokers, some of them from the most sophisticated, firms out
Yeah.
there. I don't want to, give you precise names. And they said, well, we're using Excel, and we're doing all this manually, and then the packages we build in PowerPoint and things like that. And so we start seeing that it wasn't just investors that were missing a tool; it was also the brokers. And so it was clear at that point that there is an opportunity to actually build such tool that would be simple, would have the data, and would do the job basically. So you want to be able to evaluate, underwrite a deal quickly, accurately, and then you want to be able to act on it, whether you're an investor or broker. That's basically what you do. You prospect, then you process deals, and then you act on them, right? You try
Yes.
to close on the best deals. And so that's how we got to where we are.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. And something that really stood out to me, was the ability to streamline the efficiency, right? Underwriting can be time consuming. There can be a lot of inaccuracies, right? Which creates limited pipeline. It can be expensive, and that generates lost opportunities, right? And so I think all of those things were really interesting, from my perspective, because I had the same challenge, right? Was like, look, I know how to underwrite a deal and I've got spreadsheets, but whenever I go and I try to start communicating these underwriting models to clients and folks that are interested in purchasing this real estate, it is very complex. And a lot of times, everybody gets somebody else's underwriting model and they're like, man, I don't know how to even look at this. So streamlining that and making it more simple is the big component, I think, that you guys have been solving. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, in regards to, leveraging AI, right? I've got just a nice little slide here that kind of showcases a little bit about Intel CRE, but like, how are you all leveraging artificial intelligence inside of the underwriting program?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And so maybe I should say on the offset that AI is a buzzword these
Yes.
days, and people misuse it and abuse it a lot, right?
Mhm.
Like everything is AI now. It's
Yeah.
not search, it's AI search, right? But if we look at who in the prop tech space, which company actually uses AI, we're left with a handful of them.
Mhm.
I guarantee you that. And the way we use AI is actually there are different types of AI that's our proprietary technology that we're using. So there is an AI which also an AI which is not our proprietary technology. So for instance, when you go about creating a report for a property, there is a market section. So you want to see the demographics, you want to see, something about the area and things like that. That is actually an overlay on top of OpenAI that puts all the demographic data that we have or that the platform pulls together in a nice form. So it could be your market overview section in your property report or property website.
Sure.
But then you have a document like a T12, could be a PDF, could be a spreadsheet, it could be some homemade model, whatever, and you're uploading that document. Now, in order to streamline the process, of course, we need to extract the relevant data from the document. For that, we've been building our own AI parsing engine, right?
Yeah.
And so this was a very difficult task to do. But that's one type of AI. So it's a language model that extracts the data from the documents. Then, once you have sort of your subject property loaded in the system, you want to find rent comps, right? You want to
Mhm.
find sales comps. How do you do that? Because of course, we have direct data feed from the county assessor, from the title company, so we see all the sales comps that are out there. And now, how do you pick the best comps for that deal, right? Of course, the accuracy of this is an ongoing effort, but we've built algorithms that basically determine in this market I'm gonna prioritize location this much, and I'm gonna rather prioritize the year built bucket or something like that, right? And so those are appropriate algorithms for that, right? And so there's different AI types that the platform uses, most of which are our proprietary.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes sense because, AI totally is a buzzword, and a lot of things that people think or assume are AI. It is not AI, right? And,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I've been utilizing a large language model with ChatGPT for, I think, a close to 2 years now, right? And that truly
Mhm.
is, AI. And in regards to being able to pull information from one area and get it into another area, I don't really think that is necessarily AI. That is just connecting two different disaggregated information sources into a streamlined database and ability to actually act on that data, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that's a good differentiating factor that you sort of called out there. So, I mean, in regards to thinking about Intel CRE, so I mean, whenever I was starting to kind of evaluate the platform that we wanted to use, I had a few things that I was really trying to figure out. One, is it easy enough that our brokers can utilize it, right? Like, because holy cow, training brokers on a whole new system is very difficult to do. So ease of access and being able to actually do that is number one. Number two was, okay, how is this actually shared with the clients? And I think that is a big differentiating factor for Intel CRE. So let's talk about, after that package is done, after it's created, not only can you generate an offering memorandum and a marketing package in seconds, really, after your data is inputted, you have the ability to have a mobile optimized link that can be shared behind an NDA that has to be signed. And so now we have this interactive process going back and forth, and anyone can pull up a link on their cell phone and be able to scroll through and take a look at a deal. So how did you come up with that idea? Because that, I think, really is a competitive advantage.
Well, it might as well might as well be your idea. Look, I mean this. Like, I don't try to come up with ideas. I try to listen.
Hmm.
And so I listen extremely well. I try to listen extremely closely, and the entire team, to every single user that's on the platform. And if they have an idea or they're missing something, we make sure that we build it right.
Yeah.
And the NDA protected packages, it was somebody's idea, some user's idea, and so we just quickly built it right. The way you can share, of course, you can generate a PDF. It could be a single page view or a booklet. You can print it out. Or if you don't want to print it out, what's pretty compelling way to present packages, an online flip book, right? And so there was a separate tool. There are separate tools that generate these, and with separate costs, subscription costs.
Yeah.
We built our own flipbook generator, and so now every time you present generate a brochure, and it's in a booklet format, automatically we create a flip book that you can share with a link, right? You don't have to print out anything and things like that. There's the property website. Of course, you can put an NDA protection on it. Then by the way, now we have two stages of NDA protection. It could be an open NDA protection, so you post a link anywhere, and basically anybody could, in theory, access the package or the presentation for the property, but they do have to e-sign an NDA.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the more protected version is that you actually upload or type in the emails of people that these people can view the package, and for them they have to come and sign the NDA with the email and with the name that you provided.
Yeah.
Right. So
Excellent. Well, before we get into actually taking a look at the program, I've had a few folks on talking about AI in real estate. With where you all are and your focus, what role do you see AI playing in the future of real estate investment and underwriting? So right now, Intel CRE, it helps you pull rental sales comps. It helps you pull, rental and sales comps. It helps you parse the data. It helps you get your rent roll uploaded. It gives you upside, almost immediately based off of where the rents are and where the pro forma is. It breaks down the operating expenses to the line item. It generates incredible graphs, which we'll show all here in a second. But in regards to roadmap and what you see kind of happening in the future with AI and underwriting and real estate, where do you see that going, Anton? Because you're at the forefront of this.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it goes back to what you said earlier. ChatGPT and things like that. Those are large language models, right? So very good at extracting information and condensing information. Quite good at working with that information. But when we go deeper into a very niche um, task, such as underwriting, a deal, the existing models currently are not going to be better than a human, right? Where they're going to get better and better, but I think we have still a few years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to tech enable the experts, tech enable agents, investors, not substitute them by any means. Of course, as we go forward, and with more data in our platform, or more access to more data in general, these tools will be extremely well at delivering you the best deals, basically.
Yeah.
What is the ideal day or ideal tool for an agent? You might be in a market where there's 10,000 or 50,000, let's say, small multifamily property owners, right? Some of them might be hot leads because they've decided they want to sell their property, right? So ideally, you want to look at these 10,000 properties or property owners, and you want to know these 100 owners are the most likely to sell in the next month. Give me them, right? And I want to, I want to have put them on a phone, or I want to have lunch with them, right? This is the ideal prospecting tool, and this is something that we will be able to do relatively in the near future, because AI is also good, and the current AI models are also good at seeing patterns, and there is a certain pattern for a person that's more likely to sell, right?
Yes.
Of course, not just basic patterns like foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and things like that, but some more complex patterns. Maybe they did something on, I don't know, Facebook, or like some comment
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, and the AI model will be able to tell you that this actually increases the hotness of this person, when it comes to them actually wanting to or thinking about selling their property or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe you have the same experience as I do. Even my grandma does. She's 92, and this other day she told me that AI has really gotten out of hand these days, because I mentioned to my sister, she has a sister, she's 94 or something like that. I mentioned to my sister that I was interested in some sort of like an old sewing machine, something like that. And the next thing I know, I'm looking at my Facebook, and there is the ad for precisely that type of sewing machine, built in
Yeah.
1950, whatever, so she realizes that. And so these are the kind of things I'm talking about, right? Like, the engines will be good at better predicting hot leads for agents in their market.
Okay.
And in the same way, these tools will be very good at serving on a silver platter to investors the best deals they should invest in. And so this is something that we want to do the best job in doing, right, with the tools like our deal finder and things like that. It's not fully functional, it's sort of in a beta, but by the end of the year we want to be somewhere where we could actually have some sort of autonomous system, both for agents as well as for investors, for investors finding the best deals that are actually going to sell and serving them on a silver platter, for brokers actually serving those 100 hottest leads in their market, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We got a question coming in from someone here on LinkedIn, Anton. So they just hopped in and saw this real quick. How are we accessing real-time accurate owner data? So as you're thinking about being able to generate hot leads for real estate deals and where people should focus on, what have you guys thought about in regards to the sources of that data and how that might be represented?
yeah, so great question. An easier way or approach for us to be just have a full integration with platform like Reonomy, right? And
Sure.
just basically let them do the heavy lifting on the skip tracing or whatever, and we just basically serve those contacts. The reliability of those might be questionable, right? But
Sure.
there is a mechanism for skip tracing that you look at the address, then you look at the LLC or a holding company. If it's a commercial real estate, then you basically look for the owners and things like that, right? And so there is a flow or process then that what one could take via a series of APIs to actually get to a pretty good accuracy of the owner data. But I know it's an ongoing problem that some owner might be good, bad email or old number, something like that, and there's that creates a lot of work go to waste, especially for agents. So I realize that.
So
Currently, the deal finder, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify that the deal finder is in beta. And what you can see for active deals is going to be the listing agent details. So, as an investor, you could submit your offer. You don't have a very good coverage for property owner data, which is, of course, an essential part that we need to basically integrate in order for this to be as valuable of a prospecting tool as it should be, right? So just to clarify
absolutely.
that point.
Yeah, keep the questions coming in. We really appreciate that. Anton, as I was thinking about this, I was kind of poking around earlier because I use it very sparingly in regards to, underwriting deals. But I realized there's two things that we really haven't talked about. One, we just did, which is kind of the deal finder. I think that being able to tap into, TREP loan data and being able to see when loans are coming due. And that is probably the hottest, indicator I would imagine for folks that they either are refinancing or, they're
Yeah,
going to need to sell,
yeah,
right? That's a
yeah,
big one. So
yeah,
that's a good indicator. So I think
yeah.
that's a solid one.
And
Go ahead.
we started working with Trep
Yeah,
directly. Of course, I think they're responsible, or they see data on 30% of all multifamily deals across the entire US, right? So that's a huge part of the market,
right.
and they do have that data ready to get integrated. Of course, the data is has a very high price tag, to
Sure.
say the least. But we're willing to do it. We're willing to do it once the remainder of the interface is precisely where it needs to be. So we just start feeding the data, and it starts giving immediate value to all the users. So we'll definitely do it in the
Absolutely.
upcoming months. Yeah.
The other component that Intel CRE does that we will be integrating here shortly is if you are a brokerage firm and you are looking to source sellers that may want to understand what their properties are worth. So, broker opinion of values or broker price opinions, they have the ability to have a widget put onto your website that allows them to basically tap into an interface with Intel CRE, input their information, and then actually start uploading income, expenses, and you will be notified of that inquiry based off of when that is completed, which is a really cool and awesome tool, I think, for brokers that are out there sourcing. You could drive traffic to this link to say, hey, get a really quick analysis of your property in 24 hours sent back to you, and you can generate that, which is fantastic for them and for you as a broker. Now you have a new relationship to start working. So that's a tool that we're excited about getting launched.
Yeah, yeah. As you're saying, Logan, it's nice for requesting data, right? Like, oh, use this link to provide me, the financials or whatever, right? And it's good for generating leads, because if you drive traffic to it or combine it with a more traditional, marketing campaign, like maybe you send, Happy New
Mhm.
Year postcards, and on the back side of the postcard is a QR code that says scan to learn, how much you could, how much your property is worth, right? And whoever scans it is actually a hotter lead, because they are thinking, what is my property worth? So
Right.
maybe they would want to sell, and of course that lead and that information goes directly to you and your team. So oh, all right. So this person, has this property, and there might be some business to do here, right? So
Yeah, most definitely. Kenton Johnson from LinkedIn saying, hey, are you working with MLSs right now to source any ownership data at Intel CRE?
We have MLS feeds in some markets. MLS doesn't have a single API that would give you the nationwide feed. So it is kind of, scattered. Um, and where there is owner data, we would collect it.
Yeah.
If there isn't, then we would.
Right. What I would love to see, and I'm trying to elevate kind of broker opinion of values to what I'm calling property or portfolio performance audits. And so, what this would allow an ownership group to do is we would underwrite their property in Intel CRE, and then we would be able to potentially go and get competitive properties to benchmark how their property is performing compared to a comparable set. And then if they were looking to sell or refinance, we could run some analysis in the program to say, okay, well, if you hold for the next 5 years, here's what your return is going to look like. If you sell and unlock that equity and we purchase this property over here, here's what that return could look like, right? So I think that's the next level of kind of broker opinion of values is I can do that analysis right now, but it is a little bit more, manual because I have to underwrite a property, and then compare the two in a spreadsheet, right? But if I could pull up the ability to say, hey, here's your property now. Here's what we think how it's gonna perform over the next 3 to 5 years if you refinance or if you hold it. If you sell and you unlock that equity into a new deal, here's what that could look like. Like that's where I envision, the future of AI and
Yeah.
really trying to get to some actual predictive analysis to help people make decisions.
Yeah. And you see, Logan, here you are asking me where do I come up with the ideas? I don't. You come up with the ideas, and we just try to build them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an excellent idea, and that's precisely where the system should be heading as well.
I'm speaking to brokers and investors right now. So, one thing that I think is a phenomenal tool is every deal. So, as long as you are subscribed to Intel CRE, every deal that I have ever underwritten is now logged with that information of that, and it's time stamped to that day. And it is searchable and it becomes a comparable in my
Yeah.
database. What an incredible tool. No longer am I searching for this spreadsheet that I did 9 years ago or this T12 or this rent roll. I save that in the analysis in the program. And now I can search an address. And I may have forgotten that I underwrote 5 properties in one submarket 2 years ago. But as I'm typing in, I can actually see, oh, wow, this sold or this was on the market. Here's what the price was. Here's what the underwriting was. And now I'm able to actually utilize a robust living organic database that is proprietary information because I'm tracking it in a way that other people aren't. And so I
Yeah.
do believe that to be a very strong competitive advantage as well.
Yeah, this is an excellent point. And in fact, in if you're keeping extreme, if you have a market that you're operating in, and you can keep very close tabs on that market, it means that if there's a deal that you might not represent, the seller, or the buyer, but you see that deal in the market, and your team nevertheless underwrites that deal
Mhm.
with the actual data, then you find yourself in a situation where you have perfect insights, right?
Yes.
Because there is a new deal, and you've underwritten all the relevant deals in your market, and they are now your comps with actual data that you can use. So it becomes extremely accurate, in those situations.
Yes,
So yeah.
absolutely. Well, hey, I know a lot of people are itching to kind of see the program and the platform. So, Anton, why don't you take over the screen sharing here and let's just jump in for the next 15 minutes or so and go through kind of a demo of what you guys have built.
Sure. Yeah. Share screen. I would like to record. Sorry, I gotta put something in the settings to enable me to do this.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground, and I'll tell you that, from the standpoint of the client interfacing with Intel CRE. It really allows me to walk individuals through an underwriting process, and I've done it even live with clients, right? So we'll have their property information up. I'll have Intel CRE up, and we're uploading the information, making the assumptions together so that they understand the underwriting. This is a very powerful tool and a really great skill, and I'd say selling point when you're working with your clients, either a seller or a buyer, to be able to actually understand how they're underwriting. Not only that, when they send me their underwriting and say, hey, in year 3, we have this assumption that we have been making, I'm able to pull up the operating cash flow statement and or the pro forma and really quickly see where that might be on or off and how it compares to the underwriting that the client is doing. So from a broker standpoint, it is very, very powerful. Do you have any? Are you still having trouble over there?
Basically, in order to be able to share my screen, because this is on a Google Chrome, I would have to relaunch the web browser.
Okay.
I know if that's something that we could do, but I would have to basically leave the call and come back to the call.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I'll share my screen instead and be able to walk you guys through this, and maybe you can just kind of tell me what you want to and kind of start at. So when we log in, this is kind of what I see from an analysis standpoint. So do we want to just pick out an address or a property and try to go through something real quick? Are you seeing my screen now, Anton?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So, I think that what we'll do is basically, I'll just pull up a deal that I'm taking a look at, or I've underwritten here just recently, so we can kind of showcase the program here. So this is a project. It's a 12-unit multifamily deal that the ownership is open to selling at some point, but we haven't necessarily got a listing on it, and so we were just kind of giving a broker opinion of value at this point. So what I do, and maybe this will be helpful for you as well, is I'm always going in and starting with the property details. So is it multifamily or retail? Well, this is a multifamily project, right? And right now, Intel CRE has multifamily and retail, but I'll tell you, I've used the retail component on office and on industrial, and it might be labeled as retail, but I'm able to just kind of upload everything like it would be a commercial real estate deal. So I don't know if there's kind of in the future, if industrial and office is going to be there, or what maybe even the differences are for that.
The difference is in the comp data. The
Okay.
difference might be in the lease structure. That's why you need slightly different nuance or analysis options to analyze the leases or to analyze expenses and things like that. And we will officially launch other asset classes across commercial, so office, industrial, hospitality, and so on, even residential. And we will be basically launching officially these other asset classes probably like every month. Starting next month. So we'll do residential, and then we'll do industrial, office, and then self-storage, manufactured housing, parks, whatever. So by the end of the year, we will have launched all the other asset classes.
Excellent.
So that's a good point.
Yeah, so I just go in and I'm putting in all of the property information, either off of CoStar or the information that I have, and trying to get as much detail as I possibly can. What I love about this is after I put in a property description, which I utilize ChatGPT to do a lot of for me on the property description, I will actually go down here and AI generate the property highlights and the area. So since I haven't done that on this one, let's just hit AI generate so we can see kind of the artificial intelligence in action here with Intel CRE, which is, I think, an incredible tool. So as you're building out your marketing materials in less than 5 seconds, I now have 5 different property details that have been AI generated. And Anton, I don't know necessarily where those are generated from. Maybe it's the property description that is uploaded or the area, but that's been a really helpful tool for us.
Mm-hmm.
So as we go down, we have our property description, our highlights, again, the area. If it has the address, we're able to use artificial intelligence to generate that, which is fantastic. Same thing with all the highlights for the area. And these photos are also popping in here from, artificial intelligence. So now I have a complete, whole section of the property description, the area highlights, and property highlights generated for me, right? So as I go down, this is the attachment section. So if I want to attach a rent roll, a T12, or any other marketing materials, maybe it's a debt quote or something like that, I can upload attachments here and share those with folks. So you can see I've got 4 attachments here that I have loaded up. In regards to the rent roll, I think that this is very, very helpful. So there's many different ways you can upload a rent roll. But Intel CRE has make it very easy for me. If I just download their template for a rent roll, I can format the rent roll into that format and then upload it here. And all of the counts, the bedrooms, the baths, the square footage, the current rent, the pro forma rents are now generated here for me, which has helped me in a lot of ways. Because yeah, this might be only a 12 unit deal, but when you start doing a 400 unit multifamily property with 16 different types of units and counts and different square footages, it's really helpful to be able to parse that data out really quickly. We go down, we have some more assumptions that need to be made. So one thing that's interesting here is based off the rent roll, I can either preset my vacancy, or I can let the program calculate how much vacancy we have here on Intel CRE. So that's an option for us here. Then we set our pro forma vacancy. I'm putting in the bad debt from the T12 and the information that I have. If you are going through kind of a rent stabilization period, how long is that going to be taken to stabilize? Well, I have the optionality to create that model out right here as well. Keep going down. This is the ability to search rent comps, and this is the data that we were talking about previously. Or I can add my own rent comps by just hitting create my rent comparables. And what I'll say too is, this data is as good as what you guys have available to you, right? And so that's the thing. It's a nice starting point for us. And we will typically go in and we'll put in some rent comps from either CoStar or LoopNet or Apartments.com if we're doing a multifamily deal. So we have to still kind of do some work. So this isn't going to take all of your workout as a broker. You still have to go in there and you still need to find the right data to put in there. I can add in my other income, and now I at least have a spot where now I have my gross multifamily rental income, my other income, and my gross operating income. And then we go down to our T12, right? And so we're obviously going through and looking at these operating expenses. One button that's been really helpful for us is, a lot of times we won't have really great operating expense data. So I will use this estimating operating expense data to go through and say, hey, look, we don't have any expense data. What are some good rules of thumbs to be able to utilize? And that's been really helpful in some scenarios where we might be missing some of that information. Now, the way that I do that is I have a lot of different information on other deals that are similar. So I compare that back and I can make it, but it does give me a really great starting point as well. Evaluating the property taxes is phenomenal. So we always go in here and we do reassessed upon sale. We put our current value in there. We find the current tax rate. So you can see here, the current taxes are about $13,000. Well, we know that it's going to be reappraised and assessed upon sale. So this allows us to kind of create that advanced tax modeling and really simply get us a figure in there. We will upload the T12 and utilize the artificial intelligence to map out where these might be, in regards to, these expenses. And so I can upload a T12 and it'll help me figure out where these should go, or maybe even, if something is low, it might give me a rule of thumb to say, hey, looks like your, trash or your water is a little bit low based off the data that we have. You may want to take a look at that, which has been really, really great as well. So we have the ability to do renovation and CapEx as well. And then we go into our financing section here too. And, one thing that's kind of interesting is this property value, module that you guys have built. What I like to do is, if I'm doing a broker opinion of value, I'll, manipulate the data a little bit to kind of be where I want it to be, right? But then this price estimate allows me to kind of walk an ownership group through, hey, here's a conservative, aggressive, and, kind of the realistic market pricing, and it's all broken down. So that's a really fast, there's some sensitivity analysis that we like to utilize as well. That's a really fast and dirty kind of background of using the platform. But I do want to showcase kind of what that looks like whenever you're done with your analysis, because this has been an absolute game changer for us. So you can see we have multiple analysis here that we can share, we can take a look at. And, when we go to hit share, I have the ability to have my NDA protected share, a link share, or I can download this as an offering memorandum. So let's just copy this link real quick and let's actually go to the property website so you guys can see kind of what the output looks like. So this is what I will share with a client once this underwriting is complete, is a link to this property. And this is mobile optimized. So when they pull it up on their phone, they're able to scroll through and click on certain sections that they would like to take a look at. But now you have a full website with the location, all of those area highlights we talked about, the rent roll, our average rent per unit type, right? Current and pro forma. Same thing on the operating statement. You have a beautiful operating statement that is easily to be read on. You have your income, you have your expenses broken down. You can kind of go in here and see exactly where those expenses are. We then move into our operating projections, our property taxes, and then our cash flow statement. You can do that either monthly or annually here. So it breaks it down on both of those. And now that's where the sensitivity analysis comes into a line. So, hey, if we buy this, we sell this at a 6.25 cap, or we sell it at a 5.5 cap, here's our return metrics that we can take a look at. And then this has been an absolute game changer for us. Not having to generate this marketing material was absolutely fantastic. So now it gives me a complete market overview, complete with demographics, the population, anything, the quality of life, all of this different demographic information and employment sectors that I no longer have to build in, right? Which is really, really helpful for me. And there you go. I can upload this as a PDF, or I can send this link. And just like that, in less than 10 to 15 minutes, if I have all the information from the rent roll, the T12, my sales comps and my rent comps ready to go, I can have a deal underwritten. So, Anton, I know I kind of ran through that, but how did I do? What did I miss, my friend?
You did great. You did great.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, yes, Anthony Belcher is asking if this pulls renovation costs for you. So I kind of, streamlined through that. Let me go back to the analysis and showcase kind of the renovation and CapEx section for you. It does do this, and it's very helpful to be able to do this. So I'm going to go to my edit here and pull up this analysis.
Well, the question is renovation costs that are maybe part of a profit and loss statement or a cash flow statement or a T12, or or profit or renovation costs that you plan to do for the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you plan to do them, right now you can basically factor in those renovations or capex projects with their budget, with their timeline, whether it's something done to the interior, so it's going to affect your vacancy on top of the economic vacancy, or not really, right? What we want to add here is an option to upload actually a general inspection report, and then just look for the liability items and then just create a list of what needs to be done to the property so we don't have this liability, right? So basically, like a must, maybe roof or whatever, all the electricity panels and things like that, right? So that's something that we'll be adding.
Yeah. So Anthony, he just confirmed plan to do if you purchase. So yes, you can come in here.
Yeah.
And you can add your renovation project, how much that's going to cost, when you're going to start it, and when you're going to end that project, as well as if that affects vacancy. Additionally, you have the ability to say, hey, I'm either going to do that out of cash flow, out of working capital, or I'm raising the equity to do that here as well. One thing we didn't showcase is an additional financing scenario. So if you come down here and you want to go into your financing scenarios, you have the ability to add an additional financing for a construction loan component, because we all know that construction loan component might have different terms than your permanent financing. And so you have the ability to model out both of those here as well, right? So I think that gets to the bottom of his question.
There is some financial stacking in general that you can do. So there's a combination of acquisition financing. It could be a traditional financing or a seller's financing, right? Then there's additional loans. Then there is a refi. Then there is an existing loan. And so all of what I just mentioned combined, a combination of these scenarios can be done.
Yes. And Kenton asked another good question. Can the user modify the analysis that they've been given? No. If you send a link that has been sent to them from a marketing package standpoint, they're not going to be able to modify that. The way that I have gone through that is, okay, I'm going to ask the client, what different scenarios do you want to see? Right. And you have the ability to send them multiple scenarios. So they can click through. You can see here, I think I have 4 different scenarios here, and you can name those scenarios. So maybe it's current, with no pro forma, right? Just a current analysis. And then you send something along the lines of, hey, heavy value add project or light value add project, depending on what that looks like. And I've just been able to navigate that by sending multiple scenarios. And Anton, if I misrepresented that, please let me know.
No. Yeah, what you're saying is correct. In fact, I'm smiling because what Kenton is asking about is something that we want to add as well. So basically, the viewer will be able to interact with the analysis and to such a degree that they could actually change the numbers around and see for themselves what that change produces in terms of the entire underwriting. That's something that we thought would be cool to have as well.
Absolutely. So if you all are interested in Intel CRE, head over to intelcre.com. Reach out to me. I've been using this for at least over a year, if not longer. And I've been in and out of this thing for many, many different times and have gotten a lot of deals done utilizing this program. So I'd be happy to talk with you about that. One last thing that I want to show that I didn't was that database of properties. So if I head over to my properties and I'm just going to search, let's just say, I don't know if I can just search Kansas City, but Kansas City, Missouri, right? And I'm going to hit, well, I think I have to have an exact address here potentially. But you can see if I'm in Kansas, all the different properties that we have underwritten utilizing the Kansas, right? And so I have the ability to go in here, and if I have an address for a project that I have underwritten 7 years ago, I'm going to be able to find that. And that's really, really helpful for me. But head over to intelcre.com and check that out. All right, we're coming up on time here. This has been fantastic. I've got a couple extra slides that I need to just showcase real quick, and we're going to get out of here. Anton, is there any parting words that you have for investors or brokers or anything that we didn't cover before we end up?
I guess just emphasizing the feedback loop, and I mean, this is kind of a weird marketing slogan because you don't come across a slogan too often, but it's almost like build the tool, build your custom tool in a sense. Like if you start using this and you talk to us that you need this or that, or we actually build that. So you actually have the power to shape the tool, with just words and leveraging our team. So by all means, any feedback is very appreciated, and we'd be delighted to work with anybody, that finds value in the platform. So I
Absolutely.
guess.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Anton. Hey, guys, come check us out on March 6th. I'm going to be on a real estate panel here in Kansas City, and we're talking about commercial real estate, Kansas City specifically, contractors, closers, and connections. Going to be a great event Thursday, March 6th from 5 to 8. Joe Perry, Nicole Yates, myself, we're all going to be there talking about real estate. There's a couple different panels. It's great networking for you guys to be there. If you're interested in anything that we talked about today, or you're looking for a replacement property for a 1031 exchange, or you're looking to sell your property or get an idea and benchmark your property against others through our property performance audits that we just showcased utilizing artificial intelligence and Intel CRE, reach out to myself or our team. We would be delighted to help with that. So thank you all again. Thank you all for all of the questions that you had. I knew this was going to be an exciting interview. Anton, you guys just keep it up on what you're doing over at Intel CRE. And we really appreciate the partnership that we have created over the last couple of years.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining in. Thanks for all the questions. We'll be here again in another 2 weeks. I'll see you later.